Okay, so when you talk about any, whatever, when you talk about yourself, so I start from here. Um, just exercise, practice, because this is the best way you can do. And talk about what is cucumber and just come to the this point. And then after you're done, then you can add these things. So if you have any issue talking about these, let me know. So I think we are done with the step definition, and then we talk what is page object model. And then the page object model is this, and then let's see. So another classroom design. Starting from, okay, let's see. And by using page variety class, you initialize the element. This is important. I thought we don't have it. Okay. And the third component was the test runner class. It is built on the top of JUnit. As I said, we define the path for feature file and step definition that we are going to use or run. We also can get report based on JSON, HTML, XML, whatever we need, and we can we call also can also decide what scenarios to be run and what scenarios not to be run by using tags. This is not tags, okay? And this is runner class, I think. Let's just keep it here. When you have an interview, just use this, and I think you're good. And this is power execution, important. It's a bit, they may not ask you to code because you don't have time. So remember, data-driven testing. And so I do power execution and okay, let's say the data-driven testing. This is something we talked about. Okay, for this we have not talked about. This is something a bit complicated. Okay, so this is data-driven testing. So remember, we do data-driven testing in Cucumber, but it has to, let me just okay, and data-driven testing. Okay, so do you have you done data-driven testing? Yes. And Cucumber, yes, I have. I do it in two different ways or approaches. First, I use scenario outline with the example keyword. So when to use it, you answer the question yourself. When we do not have a lot of data, if the set of data is about 10 or less, so it's a good approach. This is how we use it. And there is one disadvantage about it, because for every step, the entire data scenario must be run. It is time consuming. Okay, this is important. So it is time consuming. For every step, the entire scenario need to be run. If you have 10 steps, so the entire scenario will run or if you have 7 steps, it will run 7 times. If you have 3 steps, it will run 3 times. So, and then the second approach we use is still we are doing data-driven testing. Okay, still we are doing data-driven testing. Remember, for the second approach, this is going to be the second approach. So for this, also we are using data-driven testing, but this time we are using as I explained the other time. This is going to be second. For this, we are using data table. Okay. I think we have the video, so I believe I don't need to go through it. Okay, so any question, friends? Okay, so it's about this, and now advantage of data table. Remember, we got to talk about it. Just if you learn this, they're better, but if you don't learn, just remember sometimes it helps. So we define the set of data for every step, not for the entire scenario. Very important, okay? So only the above step will be run. As I gave you guys examples, for example, Um, the tech project, I gave you example the other day. Let me show you. Let me show you this one. Here, when we talk about, so when we do data provider or data table, so here, this entire scenario will not be run, okay? Only this step will be run for this set of data. This set of data belongs to this step. Whatever steps comes about, okay? Remember, these data, imagine if you have 100 data, now you have 2 rows, okay? But if you have 100 rows, all these 100 rows belong to this step. So this step will not be run, this step will not be run, and this step will not be run. Only this step will be run. But when we talk about example keyword, that let me show you. I think I showed you last week. Let me again show you. Okay, as I showed you last week, so this is, imagine, let me just remove this. This is something that if they ask you, you should know what you are talking about. That's why I'm saying again. Okay. So remember, this is data provider. This is scenario outline. How do we know that scenario outline? After the scenario, there is outline keyword. Okay. And then we have example keyword. We put everything, whatever data we have inside this, under this example keyword. These are called pipe. Okay. So then we create headers for the data. So then, for example, here the username is the header, the username. So we provide this header here and then provide the same thing here. So it means that this username, this value comes from this, and the value or this header, which is password, comes from here. And then we provide the LDO, set of data, 1 set of data, 2 set of data, 3 set of data. So what is that disadvantage about that? Because for every step, the entire scenario will be run for every step. Remember this, okay? So now if I come here, there is 1 step, there is 2 step or 3 steps. So we call them set of data. So this entire scenario will be run for this step. For only this step, this entire scenario will be run. Once it's done, not this step actually, these are headers, remember? These are not steps. For this step, the entire scenario will be run again. So for this step, the entire scenario will be run. So imagine we have like 100 steps. So it's time consuming because all the scenario steps will be run for every step. This is the disadvantage about scenario plan. But when we talk about the second part, which is data table, the first advantage is that the entire scenario does not run. If I come here, so this is header, this is the data. These are belong to this one. So this, if we have like 2 sets or 3 sets here, okay, imagine if I add another set, see, another set, okay, if I have only this step will be run for this step, for this set of data, this step will be run again, will be run, and 3 times this step will be run because we have 3 set of data. But these will not be run. This one will not be run for this one. These 2 will not be run. Only the step above will be run for the steps below itself, okay, not the entire scenario. So this is that, and also so only the above step will be run, as I explained. Now the entire scenario does not run for every set of data. That is very important. Tell them. So and then I think I went, I gave you guys more details for, we use maps for the set of data that has headers. Okay, remember this, please. This is important. We use maps for set of data that has headers. So this set of data has a header. See, this is a header. This is a header. Okay, it doesn't matter how many set of data are here. So I just added two. I'm going to delete all of those two. Only we have only one. See, one set of data here as username, one set of data here as password. But we have headers here. See, this is one header. This is another header. So for this, uh, we have inside the step definition class, we need to have headers. Okay, let me see. Find the step definition class here. We have it here. Yes. Okay, see, for the headers, we have a step. Imagine if I, this is going to be something repeated from last week, but let's say no problem. So here, imagine for this scenario, the username, user enters username, okay? There is a method here, user enters username. If I come here, let's see, let's find user enters username or user enters password, doesn't matter. So user enters username, okay? So when you have a steps, this is a method, user enters username. If I come here, it's the same thing, user enter username. Because it has header, okay? Because it has header, we have to use maps, okay? To extract the data table inside the parameter, we use maps class. So because it has header, if you come here, let me just remove all. Okay, so this is the map we have. Imagine this has a header, user enters username, user enter username, okay? So we use maps and then we save the maps inside list. And then we use a method called as map to extract the data from the data table inside the parameter we use map. So this is data table, okay? This is the parameter. So we use this parameter. I use a parameter here. I use a method to get the data. So what method I use? I use as maps to get the data from this. Then I save it inside a variable. Then I use toString maps, and then I save it inside list. So this is the way whenever this has header, just remember tail here. We use map, and then we use as maps method to extract the data from inside the data table. But whenever the method doesn't have any header, okay, let me just uncomment this for you guys. Okay, so this is an example. On user enter username. If you see user enter username, here there is a header and then there is a value, okay? But here there is no header. There are two values. It can be 2 or 3, doesn't matter, but there are values below the step. This is the step. These values, it can be 1 or 2, doesn't matter. They are above this, below the step. There's no header. And here, and user enter password. These two are here, but there's no header. But here, user enter password, there is first a header and then the value. For this situation, and then we don't use maps, okay? If you, as I explained last week, we use lists for the set of data that do not have headers, okay? These are key things, guys. Remember them, please. Because if you don't remember them, so when you don't have the header, we do that, okay? So here, then for that, let me just go through this. And then, so we use a method called raw to extract the data from here. We use a method called as maps, okay? This method, we use this method to extract the data, but here we use a method call because it doesn't have a header. It doesn't have header, no header. Here they have header. So that's why, so, but you can use one of them, not the same time. So I'm gonna comment this map now. If you see this method that I commented is for this scenario that I commented, see? Because this scenario doesn't have header, so I use list. And now if I uncomment this, see, There is no argmax here. There is a raw method. Again, past data, data table. I use this parameter of data table. I extract the all information from it by using a method called raw, and I save it inside the data. This is a variable. And then I use it inside, I use it toList. Why toList? Imagine if you have two set of data in the future. If I use one list, remember, if I use one list, it's gonna work only for one of this. See, one of this. That's fine. So if you use toList, imagine in the future, if you have a lot of, a lot of set of data, it's going to be saved inside this list. So it's good to have two lists. So one, if you have only one set of data, one list, but if you have more to 1,000 or whatever you need, it's good to put, to save it inside another list in case we have more data. So again, this is about that. I'm not going to tell you about other things because you may not remember them, but that's what I talked about these two. So just a short explanation. I do data-driven testing. It has two approaches, one with scenario outline, and the other one is so we use example keyword. So we use it when we don't have a long set of data. So again, the set of data is about or less than data in about 10 or less than. So this is important because imagine, let's come here. Example, if we have a lot of data, this is 1, 2, 3, okay? If you have 1,000, for every set of data, this entire scenario has to run. It means it's time consuming, okay? That's the reason I put here, when it's less than 10 or something, it's good approach, because otherwise it's gonna be time consuming. Disadvantage, because for every step, the entire scenario must be run, okay? So it is time consuming. For every step, the entire scenario again run, it's time consuming. So this is the second approach. It has we used data table. Again, it had good advantages. We define the set of data for every step, not for every scenario. Only the above step will be run. The entire scenario does not run, as I explained here. So only this step will be run for this set of data. We don't mind how many set of data we have. Only this step will be run, not the entire scenario. And also we use maps for data that has headers to extract the data table inside the parameter. This is the data table. This is the parameter. Okay, we can just put whatever name you want. I can put DD, doesn't matter. Then I need to use DD here. So we change the name, it doesn't matter. Okay, so don't get confused about that. This is a parameter for this data table. When you first run it, it gives you, I think there's a name called I forgot, create conditional, not conditional, I may remember first time when you use it. Okay, and when we use a list, so if they ask you, when do we use list with data-driven testing? When we use list, it means that we have no headers. So for that, we use a raw to, get the information from the method. Which method? Data table method. Again, this is raw, the information method again. So they may ask you. And the tail here, if you give them this much information, I think you're gonna be good. And let me just go here and see what else I can give you guys.
Excuse me, can we use Excel or something for data here, or we can use just scenario in tables?
So yes, we can, but that's a good thing. So let me just add this. This is about that, okay? But here, let me add this here. So if the data is too large, okay, we use views a separate sheet of data. So remember this, what is data-driven testing, guys, okay? So when the data is very large, okay, when the data is very large, so we cannot use any of this, cannot use like even either this or this, but the data is too large. So I was going to tell you later, but let me just add it here. So if the data is very large, so we use a separate sheet of data, so which is kept outside of our framework. Okay, which is kept outside of our framework. So what is that? It is usually it is what was the name? It is utility class. Okay, so it's a utility class, usually Excel. Okay, so let me just get to it, just so you guys don't get confused. Okay, when we have a lot of set of data, okay, when we have a lot of set of data, so it doesn't make sense to go use scenario outline or even use data table. Okay, when we have a lot of set of data, then we use a utility class. Let me come here. I think you guys also have it, but let me show you something. Okay, and let me show you that you guys know. Okay, so let me just make it a bit easy. So I don't want you guys to learn it, but just know it. Okay, so then we use a class. We use a utility class, as I told you, which is called Excel utility class. Okay, let me first explain it. So if the data is too large, we use a separate sheet of data, which is kept outside our framework. Okay, so it is usually it is a utility class, usually called Excel class. Okay, so we use Apache UI to use Excel. Okay. So, so let me explain to you guys. Okay, so what is data-driven testing? Let me open this. So if someone tells you what is data-driven testing, I already told you when they said inside the Cucumber we use the scenario outline and we use data table. But what is data-driven testing? If someone asks you, okay. So data-driven testing. Imagine this is the framework we have here, and so last week I told you. So imagine this is our framework. This is framework. If I divide this in 3 parts, this is the feature file. This is the step definition class. This is runner class. Okay. Then these two are fine, but for this we have different utility classes. Okay. The first utility class I told you last week, we use all the Selenium WebDriver method. Okay, Selenium utility. Just for now, remember this. Another class we have, another class that we had was JDBC connectivity. Okay, I told you last week, JDBC connectivity. Another class we have was Excel utility class. Now we come to this Excel utility class. Okay. Another class that we have, I still don't know what that would be, but it can be a lot, another class. So it depends to the requirement, depends to our job. Okay. Maybe we have another utility class to call to create a CVS. Maybe this is another one. SVS, this another format, just to call. Okay. Why do we talk about this? What is data-driven testing? If someone will, what is data-driven testing? Okay, data-driven testing. Separating separating the, so what do we do inside the Excel file? Okay, inside this Excel file there are a lot of methods. Okay, so one method to read the file, one method to read the sheet, one method to read the the data inside the row, one method to read the data inside the column, and one method to read the data from the cell. We put inside this class, this is just, they're all methods here. Okay, then in our computer we have a file that's an Excel file. Inside that file we have a lot of data. So for example, now I want to use this username and password with 2 sets of data. Okay, but sometimes I need to use 100 sets of data, depends. So it's not possible to keep all the data here. So that's called data-driven testing. What is data-driven testing? I already have a file here. This is an Excel file inside my computer. Then from this utility class, I have all the methods. I define the path for this file. Here is the file. I define I give the address of this file to this class. So this file is inside the C drive or whatever. Okay, and then I have method. For this method, okay, I say, okay, go and read the file and go and read the sheet. Okay, I need these information are in sheet 1. Okay, this method for sheet, go read the inside sheet 1. Maybe there are a lot of sheets. Okay, and then for this, I'm saying, okay, go and let's see. Okay. So, and this, go and read the cell or whatever. I'm gonna teach you maybe next week, but not now. Okay, so I define the path, and then inside this utility class, I have the method to read this file. Remember, to read this file. These are the methods. Okay, by using different method that already exist. So it means this set of data is outside my framework. This is my framework, okay? By using this utility class, I can read the data from this file and run it to in my feature file. See, run it inside my feature file. Inside my feature file, I can, instead of writing them, I can just use those data by using that. So the data-driven testing, separating the data, this is the data. This is my framework. Separating the data and the framework, what do I mean by framework? The test cases, these are test cases. A step definition is a test class, okay? Separation of this test class and the data, it's called data-driven testing. Very important, guys. If my file is Excel, I usually, instead of writing a lot of Excel methods here, to read the cell, to read the row, to read the whatever, I already have a class. It has all the methods. I only define the path for this class. Okay, go and read this class. So after it's ready, then I by using inheritance, I extend this class inside my step definition class, and then I read all the data from this file. Let's go here now. Okay, let me just show you something that you guys it may help you guys. Okay. I think I did this before, so let me just go. This is something I did. If you don't understand, doesn't matter. Okay, I just want to show you. If someone asks you what is data-driven testing, let me just see if I have an Excel file here. I think I have Excel file. Let me just show you the exact thing that what I'm doing. Okay. So not here, not here. I think I had, but doesn't matter. Not here. Okay, so I think I don't have it, doesn't matter. Okay, so how do we read data here? So let me give you an example. So here we have a class, and then I read the data. So let me just give you an example how to read data. Okay, so in here, first of all, imagine I have a class. Let me go here. Okay, let me go to my computer, just to show you how to read data from Excel file, okay? Oh, my computer's. Okay, so let's come here. I'm gonna close this for now, and you guys just understand what I'm doing, what I mean by don't save. So this, if you remember this, I think it's gonna help you. But if you don't, I'm not saying that you guys learn it. Okay, just understand it, please. So first of all, I'm saying that inside my computer. So see, first of all, I say how to read it. See here, I'm saying go and read this file. Then it has some steps. I don't want to say for reading a file, use a file input stream. This is correct. Then I define the path. Where should I read it from? I read it from here. See, inside my drive one, the document, there's a this is a call. This is sales tax in document. Okay, let's come here. This is sales tax document. Here, do you see this? This is sales tax document. Imagine if I open this. Before studying testing, I used to be an accountant. So these are all the tax things that I used to do. So imagine here, this is a set of data. I want to read this file. My set of data are all inside this file, okay? Then there is a sheet one name. Imagine there are a lot of sheets, a lot of sheets, a lot of sheets. I want to use this sheet. I'll call it DC, okay? So I want to use, instead of putting all the data inside the feature file, I want to use these, read these data. This is data-driven testing, okay? So first of all, I create a class, a file input. This is a file class, okay? Then inside that, I define the path for this. Okay, please go and read this. Or how do you define? Let me move my computer. So you right click on this, and this is the way. So you just copy this. You know, if I even go and you paste it here. See users, Ringo. Okay, this is the path. I tail here, and then you put 2 forward slashes, and then whatever name you have here. This is the name of. And remember, after the name, so the name of the file is. This is sales tax in December or whatever, and then I define it here, and then .xlsx. This is the file name. It means my file is Excel. If I don't define this, it's not going to be recognized. Okay. So I don't want to teach you about this, but very quick. After that, I'm saying, okay, then you create these classes for workbook. Okay. And then for workbook, where is this workbook placed? This workbook is inside is here. So I need to, this workbook is here, this address. Then this address is saved inside this. So I put this inside the workbook. It means this workbook is in this location, and this location is here. Okay. And after that, XSSF sheet after workbook, then so this is Excel file. This is a workbook. And after that, I want to go to this sheet. Okay, this is address one by one. So it's very easy, very easy. After sheet, XS sheet, XSS workbook, and then I go to sheet. I create the object of sheet, but using this workbook, I get sheet. What sheet I want to go? Remember, here the sheet was sheet 1. Now I change it to DC. There are a lot of sheet. What sheet do you want to read the data from? Where is your data? My data are in DC. Sheet DC. Sheet DC. I should just create it capital. Okay. Good. And now, after that, I will use the sheet and get the last row. So these are the things that you don't want to know now, because I will teach you later. So by using this, I am giving the address for this file. So I can read this file and bring it to my framework and use all the data. Imagine it has a lot of set of data. This is just an example. So this is separating this file, inside your computer and using it inside your framework. This is called data-driven testing. It can be Excel, so we use the Excel format. It can be anything, but these four, we are using Apache PUI. Remember, we are using Apache PUI to do data-driven testing. So this is an example I gave you. And so now the file is here. We are using the file inside utility class. But instead of that, if you go to your Tech framework, let me just show you that one. Maybe you guys have it, I think. If sometimes they ask you, you may know database, so they don't have it. I think they should have it, maybe. Take laptop, for example. Yeah, they used to have it inside the testing G, I believe. Take, let me hotel, yeah. Let me just show, this is something important, guys. See Excel utility class? If I open this guy, this is already created. So for this, do you see the path for the file? This is the path for the file. So usually it just goes and read the file, whatever file they have. It's very, very easy. Just don't mind about it, okay? So this is data-driven testing. But as the question came up that I don't know who asked, inside the Cucumber, if the set of data, as I mentioned, if the set of data is not less than, is not more, it's not a lot, see, about 10 or less, we can do this. But if it's more than that, we keep a file separated. I think we already have it. Even these guys have it here. Let me just open it. I forgot the framework, the filing. No properties. Maybe I deleted them. But anyway, so we create the file inside there. We can keep the file inside the project or with the file outside the project. It doesn't matter. So this is data-driven testing, if they ask you. If the set of data is too large, so we create by using utility class. Why do we say utility classes or Selenium utility class or Excel utility class? Why? This is important because all the methods are already implemented there. Read the for example, Selenium. Select from drop down, I don't know, do action classes. All the methods are ready. We just call the methods and we just do the job. They're very easy. The methods are already here, so we just define the path for this file. There is no need to come to a step definition class, read the column, read the cell, define the path, read the what. So there will be a lot of coding here. So that's why the code is already done here inside this utility, Excel utility. So we just define, we give the address of this file, and then by calling this, by inheriting this class, we can use all the features of that, and this file will be read for this set of data. This is very, very easy. That's why we have different utility classes, just to avoid a lot of coding inside a step definition class. So inside the step definition class, we should be always very clean. And also the code should be maintainable. That's why we have these utility classes. So this is about that, then you should understand this, okay? So where did I write it? If the data is large, we use a separate sheet of data. It doesn't matter what kind of data, okay? Normal Excel, which is kept outside of our framework. We keep it outside. It is called data-driven testing. Okay, what is data-driven testing, guys? Okay, separating the set of data, from the framework or your test class, okay, is called data-driven testing. It is usually it is a utility class, usually called let's say an Excel utility class. We use Apache PUI, very important. How do you connect to Excel? We use Apache PUI. If I don't install Apache PUI, I would not be able to use any Excel file. So imagine if, as I showed you here, so how to reading from Excel file, see? If I don't have Apache PUI installed, I will not be able to use any of these classes, see? For workbook, for sheet, for, get cell or whatever. That's very important. How do you connect, how do you get data from Excel? We use Apache PUI, okay? So how do you get it? We download the dependencies from Apache PUI, okay? This is tech. If you come here, if you go to the pom.xml file, let's see. So let's see Apache PUI. Let me just show you. These are something that will help you a lot, guys. See, Apache PUI. Okay, Apache PUI. So for this Apache PUI, if you don't have these two, you cannot connect to Excel. Apache PUI, XML. See, Apache PUI, these two. These are for, and even if the framework is hype is Maven, so we keep them there. So it's about that. So just mention if the data is too large, so we use Apache PI by using Excel, so we can just read the data. And then next session, I'll teach you how to read, because sometimes they will tell you, how do you read the data from sheet? Get sheet method, okay? How do you read the data from the row? So get last row method. How do you get the data from the cell? Get last cell. Then how do you get it? Use for loop or for each loop. Next session, I'll tell you for everything. So XSL cell, XS XSS row. For row, we have different one class. For cell, we have a class. For sheet, we have a separate class. See, this is for sheet. For workbook, we have a class. For we need to define the path. So these are important. They asked me once, and then I explained. So because sometimes when you're talking about such things, they may ask you, okay, good. Do you know how to? So can you tell me how do you read the data from sheet? Then you should know that. Okay, I'll tell you next time. So this is about this, and I think we are almost done with the Cucumber, and this is about this. Let me see what else I can go. A self-definition class, and sometimes they give you okay. They open, okay, could you please open your Eclipse? Yes. Can you just create a feature file and write can we create a feature file and write a scenario? Very important. Sometimes you don't believe it. Okay, what you want to do, just right click, okay, new file. So whatever file, so where do you right click on the feature file? Okay, just right click, very fast, file, whatever name, for example, session dot feature. This is important. Okay, session dot feature. Right after you click on this, it's going to give you this, but they will ask you, can you write a scenario outline? Okay, can you write a scenario outline? So, and they're now they see how do you type. So if you have a 10 years of experience, what do you do? First of all, very fast feature, then feature, it should turn red because it's not feature. Okay, for example, if I want to write, clicking on the link, for example, whatever name you want to give it, okay? And after that, scenario, if they want to write scenario, that's fine, okay? You would do this. If it's still white, there is something wrong, okay? Put this. So scenario, you name a scenario, okay? Logging into customer account, for example. I'm just writing very fast, doesn't matter. Okay, this is they are just seeing you, hey, what you are doing, good. And then so they ask, okay, can you write a scenario? Write it. So they want to see how do you write, do you know the given keyword? So this is the approach, given user or given customer is on the website, for example. This is something, okay? And now given is not this is now correct, okay? This is on the website. And then what do? You create, you give this, and you give the website. For example, www.amazon.com. Okay. And see, very important. You should not be fast, but you should know what you are doing. Okay, because they are asking you to write the scenario. And customer enters password. So here you have the option not to put this password here, or you have the option to put the password. Better to put it, okay? Just say, okay, password, for example, AABB, whatever. This is a password. And customer enters username, for example. And then username, something like this, okay? Then customer will be able to see the search So this is something I made it from myself, okay? So this is, okay, customer should be able to see the message or comment. This is a scenario. Now, if they ask you, this is something that you should know, very easy, because you know that, okay? And then if they ask you, can you just write the scenario outline? Yes, yes, why not? This is, just copy this here, this is scenario outline. Logging into the account with many set of data, okay? Okay, here, what you need to do, outline, and scenario outline. Okay, if it's white, there's an issue, okay, remember. And now it's going to be the same thing if they ask you, okay, write scenario outline, okay. Let me copy this just to save time. But what do you remember about this? Never write things here, because when we write scenario outline, we give everything down here, okay. So let me give you example. Okay, so here, what you want to do, this is fine, but here, what I want to do, usually we do this, okay. Put this here, see, put the entire thing inside these brackets. Why? Because we are going to do data testing. Okay. So, for example, maybe I forgot the spelling. Okay. So, and now here you want to do use pipe. Okay. So this is the header. So pass. This is username. Okay. So what do you want to do? Whatever you put here as a header, we put it here. Okay. This is the header. Okay. This is pipe 1, and then the next one should be I would call this is password. This is pass, and this is user. We put it here, and this is that. And for the next one, for example, I put bracket AA. So just put this here, don't mind, okay? And then go here. This is the password, and then put this here again. Put this here. Don't mind about these. So you can just, I'm going to show you how to fix them. Imagine this is two set of data. How can you fix it? Just right click here, pretty format. Maybe because there's a mistake here. Example, let me see. Funny, why are you not able to write the example keyword? Maybe my writing the spelling. Yeah, see? Okay, now let's see if it works. When you right click, pretty format, so it just gives you this format. Now, if you write the same thing and the guys see, then you're good, okay? And something that I think I forgot is to, let me just see. Okay, so this is how it works, but I believe I need to bring a change here. So first of all, I think I need to put this inside this first, and then yes, this is right. It should not turn and please practice this. Okay, write the scenario. Good. Can you write the scenario outline? Yes. And this is how you write it. Okay. So this is a password. This is whatever you put here has to put here. These are headers now. Okay. And these are the value. You can have a lot of value. If I copy this here and I, these are the value. It can be a lot of value. So all the entire scenario will be run for you. This is scenario outline, and this is scenario. If they ask you to write, you should be very, very fast. Not fast, just to know. And imagine these are, you have two scenarios. Given user is on the website, given user is on the website. So you need the background keyword. Okay. So we use background keyword for what? For any step which is repeated. So I'll put this here. And then I'll delete this one. I don't need it because
The background keyword is used whenever we have any method that is repeated, okay? So now I deleted 2 lines. Instead of 2 lines, I have only 1 line because these 2 were repeated, okay? If anything I have, this is the same thing, okay? And I'm gonna delete this, don't save. I hope you guys understood. You know that, but it's when you write it, you should show that I've been doing it for many years, okay? Very important. Okay, so this is about that, just practice. And also, I think we are good with Cucumber. Do you guys have any specific question about Cucumber? I think if you talk about these things, yeah, there is one parallel execution. It's a bit confusing, but let me show. But I can till this next week. So let me just give you another. So the next one is parallel execution. This is a bit confusing. I'll do it next week. So for today, I'm going to go answer some of these questions very fast. So if they ask what is Selenium, remember Selenium is an automation suite, not a tool. Selenium is an automation suite. Why? Because it has different components, not a tool. Is an automation suite. Selenium is an automation suite. What are the components of Selenium? Because it is like Selenium Grid, Selenium IED, Selenium RC. They may not ask you, just Google about these things. So Grid is for distributed testing. So I'm going to have a session for this, just to know that. Remote is a bit on with JavaScript method, and IDE is not using anymore. And also what we are doing is WebDriver. This is important. What are the components of Selenium? Grid, IDE, RC, and WebDriver. You don't mind about this. What is the WebDriver? What is WebDriver? Very important question, guys. Okay. I got one offer from this question, to be honest, but it's important. What is WebDriver here? Does anyone know what is WebDriver, guys? Okay. So if they ask you what is WebDriver, you say it is an interface. Remember, it's not a class. It is an interface. So what do I mean by interface? So when I say WebDriver manager driver, this WebDriver is an interface. Now we are not able to create the object of interface. Okay, that's why this. So let me see. What is the diff? If they give you this code, okay, and they give you this code. They give you this code.
I think you should remove the brackets. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. And this is about this. Let me just give this to this. Okay. Now they tell you, okay, what are the, then this is Firefox, this should be Firefox. And now, what is this one? This is, what is this? What is this? What is this? So they asked me the same thing. And this is very important question. So I thought that it's not, but not important. Sometimes if you're lucky, you can just get an offer from such question. Okay. Why do we use WebDriver new Chrome driver instead of Chrome driver, for every specific class, why don't we use a specific class? So very important, WebDriver is an interface. WebDriver is an interface. We are not able to create the object for any interface. So an interface can only be implemented by using a class. Remember, interface can be implemented by using class. So this Chrome, so there are certain classes. WebDriver has certain classes for each browser. The Chrome driver class, Firefox driver, Edge driver, whatever. Any class I put here, this class will be implementing this interface. Okay, so but if I use, they will ask you, what is it? What is the difference? Why don't I use? Why can't I use the Chrome driver here? You should answer, whenever you use a WebDriver, okay, you can easily use this for any browsers. Imagine if you change your browser, what you need to do, you can only create the class here, change the class. But if you use a class here, this class will only work for this Chrome driver. This class will only work for Firefox driver. There is no way. But whenever you have WebDriver, since it's an interface, it implements all the classes can implement this easily. So you can just change the name. So Edge driver. Then I'll import Edge. See? Then I can use Edge driver very, very easily with driver. But if I put the same Edge driver here, I will not be able to use Edge driver because this is specifically for Chrome driver. Okay, this Edge driver to Edge driver. See, change the type of driver to Edge driver because this, see, Edge driver. So by using WebDriver, which is an interface, remember, we can use all the classes. What are the classes? Every browser has a class. Every browser has a class. Edge driver, Firefox driver, Chrome driver. So by using WebDriver, we can use all the classes. Imagine later, if you change the browser, then if I'm not using WebDriver, I need to, if I change from Chrome to Firefox, then I have to create Firefox again. But here, I would only need to use Firefox as a class, not Firefox as a method. Okay, so this is very important. What is WebDriver? WebDriver is an interface. Okay, WebDriver is an interface that all the classes like Chrome, Edge, Firefox, IE or ID, they can easily implement it. So by only changing the class, it can be. So imagine if I copy the WebDriver here again. So it can be done by, this is Chrome. This is Chrome driver. At the same time, this WebDriver is using 3 classes, you see? But if I use Firefox, so this is going to only work for Firefox. This is going to only work for Chrome, okay? That's the difference. Remember this. What is a WebDriver? It's an interface that all the classes can use it. And I'm going to give you the architecture next session. So advantage and disadvantage of Selenium. Let's keep them for the next session, I believe, because I think there are a lot. So, and one thing that I want to cover next session, guys, okay, very important. So let me show you this, because they asked me a lot of questions, and I think they may ask you guys the same thing, okay? So if they ask you, be ready for this. What is collection? Collections in Java, very important. So you should know everything. So let me just give you a clue for 2 minutes. What is collections? Remember, okay? And when they talk about collections is a framework, okay? This is the main interface. Collection is the main interface. Then this collection, I found it very important. If you don't know this, then it's hard. We have 3 main collections. One is list, interface, okay? Interface 1. Number 2 is set. And number 3 is Q. Okay, collections has 3 main interfaces. So what is collection? Collection is the main interface. I don't want to go to the detail. So it has 3 interfaces: list, set, and queue. What is a list? So then list has 2 classes itself, okay, different classes. For example, we have array list. Okay, I'm just giving you the, and then we have linked list. And also for set, we have high set. And then we have linked high set. Okay, and queue, these are all interfaces. Remember, interface, main interface, main interface. These are the classes that you, and queue is implementing a class which is called priority queue. Okay, very important. So what are the collections in Java? Collection is the main interface that implement that other interfaces implements that. So what are other interfaces? The main there is one set, list, set, and queue. So there are also one more vector which is old, now no one uses it, and a stack as well, but I'll tell the stack, not queue. Queue is, they are not using it. So then list has 2 classes. List, 2 classes implement list, array list, linked list. Another 2 class implements hash set interface, but hash set, linked hash set. And also priority queue has 1 class, and also there is another class. Okay, good. Victor is old, but I'll talk about this as well. So there is another class. This linked list class also is used by queue. Remember, linked list. Okay, this linked list is used by list interface, and also the same linked list class is also used by queue. Remember, so this linked list is a class. 2 interface can use linked list. One is list interface and the other one is queue. So this is collection that has 3 main interfaces. Okay, and 3 main interfaces. Let me, yeah. So and then every interface list has 2 classes, set 2 classes, and queue. And another one we have map. So map is not from collection. Remember, map is separate. Okay, map is an interface that has classes. The first one is hash map class, and the second one is, which is, I think most of the people ask about the differences between these two, hash table. And another one I believe is actually there is another one which is tree, but it's not that common. I may go about it as well, but there's a little difference. So once you guys know this, I can go with that. So tree map also is here, and also we also have 3 set. Okay, set has 3 set, map has 3 map, and there are 2 more, but there is a big slight difference. Okay, now maybe for the by next session they may ask you. Okay, so let me give you an example here. Let me give you why list. Okay, so why do we use list for? So now there are big differences. So why do we use list, and why is list for? When do we go with list? One, so what is the list interface does? Okay, list interface, very important. When should we use it? The first one, when we have First of all, list is index space. List is index space. Number two, it allows duplication or duplicate element. Number three, it maintain, it keep the orders of it keeps the order of the elements. Number four, so why some people go with list, some people go with set. First of all, set, it's index based, okay? It means it has index. We can get the data based on the Wix index. We can add the data based on the index. Remember, it allows duplicate elements. It keeps the order of the elements. It means if you start from 1 to 10, it gives you 1 to 10, okay? And number two, it allows nulls, okay? It allows nulls, very important. So it is index based, it allows duplicate elements, it keeps the order of the elements, okay? Or insertion, insertion. So when you use from 1 to 10, it gives you 1 to. These are very important. Why list? Because these are the main factors about this, okay? And if I copy the same thing and not copy this, let's just create a new. Okay, and then okay. So that's why we go with list. So again, why do we go with list, guys? Very important. So because list, it's index based, it allows whenever we have a requirement that we need to have duplicate elements, we use list. Whenever the order of the data, it's important for us, the order of the data, okay, we go with list. And whenever we have null values, we go with list. Now set interface. It's not index based. No index. There is no index space. So it's not index based. When we talk about index, so by list we can get the index. So I want to get the value from index 10, index 5. So when it's not index based, what's wrong with this? When it's not index based, it means there is no for loop. Okay, I'll tell next sessions. So it's not index based, no duplication. No duplicate element is allowed, okay? The next one does not keep the order of the element. And the next one is, these are the main things. So I don't know why it's typing like this. I cannot move them, but anyway. So again, when we use list, I'm talking about interface, but there are still, what is the difference between array list and linked list? Okay, what is hash? What is set? When do we use set? When it's not index based. Okay, set is not index based. There is no index in set. Set does not allow, does not accept duplicate elements. No duplicate element is allowed in set interface. It does not keep the order of the element. If you start from 1 to 10, if you want to print it, it's not going to give you from 1 to 10. It gives you from 7 to 5 or whatever number. It's random based. Okay, based on when they ask you which one is better to use, You never say this is list is better than set. No, based on the requirement. If my requirement is to go through the indexes, list is good. In my requirement, I need to have duplicate elements, list is good. If in my requirement, if I need to keep the order, for example, from 1 to 100, then I would go with int list. If I need to have null elements, I'll go with this, okay? And set, it is good, because if in my job, if I'm using ID, so no ID should be repeated, then I will go with set because it doesn't allow duplication. It does not keep the order of the element. If the order of element is not important, then I would use a set interface, okay? And then they have different classes. So array list, linked list, high set, link high set. So I'm gonna talk about these the next sessions. And queue is also important. So queue has two classes, priority queue and also linked list. Linked list is implementing the list interface, and this at the same time, linked list is implementing the queue interface. Okay, very, very important. These are the main thing. And map does not have anything to collections classes. Map is separated. Whenever we want something in pave, whenever we want something in pave, in pair of key and values, we use map. Remember, in pair of key and values, then we use map. Map is the interface again. It has, these are all have methods. I'm gonna tell you next session. This is just overview. Okay, I'm gonna go again with list and a lot of things. It has hash map. It has hash table. Map has two classes. Okay, and then they are implementing the map interface, and these are separated. They don't have anything with collection classes. Okay, so collections has framework has three main interface: list, set, queue. Each interface has different classes that they're implementing those interface. Map has 2 or 3 classes, 3 map, okay? And also set also has 3 set, but I'm gonna tell you. So they are separated. List has some requirements or specifications. Set has some specifications. Based on your condition, your requirement, you choose what to go with. Never say list is better than high set. Never list is better than set, or set is better than list or queue. For example, if I want to talk about queue, just short example, imagine 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got the element, okay? So I entered the element 1. So the element 1 is here. Then I entered element 2. Then I entered element 3. Then I entered element 4. Then 5. This is tail. What is tail? Or this can be, let's call it head. Okay, and this is tail, or it can be vice versa. Okay, so I started entering from here. Whatever element you entered first, you will get it first. This is called first in, first out, FIFO, if you remember. Okay, FIFO. When do we use queue? Whenever we want to use FIFO approach. FIFO approach, it means whatever element I created first, I want to get it first. So I start using from here. It means 1 was entered first, then whenever I want to get the element, 1 will be extracted, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Okay, so it's FIFO. A stack is the same thing. A stack is these are just overview, guys. Okay, a stack is the same thing. So I insert 1, I insert 2, 3, 4. I want to get the elements. A stack is first in, last out. Yeah, fellow. Yeah, I think fellow. First in, last out. Okay, it means I started from the 1. Okay, now if I want to get it, I'll get from this side, 4, then 3, then 2. So this 1 was entered first, then I'll be getting it at last. This one was entered first, and I'm getting it at first. First in, first out. First in, last out. Okay, because I start from 4. So, and I'm gonna tell you guys about all of these, and I'm gonna quote some coding. Hash map. Who asked this question? Is it hash map is a class of map. Okay, map is another interface. Map is separated from collection. It doesn't have anything to this. Whenever we want to have a pair of values and in key and value format, we use hash map. Okay, I'm gonna the next session will be on these because I got a lot of questions on these, and I think you will definitely get. Okay, so collection has 3 main interface: list, set, queue. These interfaces have different classes. Set has array list, linked list. Set has list has these two. Set has high set, linked high set, and 3 set. Queue has priority queue and also linked list. Linked list is used with list interface, and also linked list is used with queue interface at the same time. So it means linked list is implemented by 2 interfaces. And I'm going to repeat this and enough for tonight. Whenever index base is important, so I want to get the data based on the index or retrieve the data or add the data, I'll go with list. Whenever I don't want to anything being duplicated, list doesn't allow duplication. When I want to keep the order, then I would go with list, then the nulls value are allowed. When to go with set, when it's not index based, okay? So no, it doesn't allow duplication. No duplicate is when you imagine if you want to get a duplicate from array, we use set, if you remember. It does not keep the order. If you start from 1 to 10 and you print it, it may not give you 1 to 10. It give you a random number. So these are the main differences, and I'm gonna cover next session. Just if they ask you what are collections in Java, so collections has 3 main interfaces, and then each interface has classes, and then we go with the map. Is map part of collection? No, map is separated. When we want to go with map, it means we need to use key and values or a pair of information. So I think it's enough just overview. Next time, I'm gonna start from list. I'm gonna give you example with array list, linked list, the difference, and list. Once done with this, we're going to start with set, high set, link high set, very fast. On the most important thing, because I cannot go with all of them because I just want you guys to be ready for questions. And then we'll go with queue and stack. So maybe it takes 2 to 3 sessions. So after that, you will never have an issue with any questions, I think. This is the purpose, okay? Okay, so any question, guys? So next session will be on Wednesday, and on Wednesday, we are going to start from collections, very important questions, and you should know the differences between these classes, and if they ask you, and they have different methods. So, and I think I found it very important because I got a lot of questions on this. If you learn them, I think you will never have any issue. I promise, because they ask. So the other day, guy asked me, and then I talked about half an hour of the interview, and I think they were sleeping. So it's not good to talk a lot, but just to tell them the differences. These are important. Okay. I think we are running over the time.